We're now going to start with the second exercise, and for this I need to make sure we have the right quality, so I'm going to follow this on another device, and I'm going to make sure that I've got no sound on there and that I can see comments. Okay, let's see. If I say hello, it will be there. And it's there. Okay, so in front of you, you will see the course schedule, and hopefully this time it's very clear. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make it slightly bigger, and I have already done that. So this module that we're going to cover now is the what if analysis and the solver add-in. You'll see it marked up there on the screen. It will take us approximately 20 minutes. I want you to open what if analysis XLS, the Excel spreadsheet that I provided you with. You can also open the what if analysis document file, but that is not mandatory at this stage. You will, however, go back to that and look at it whenever you have any questions. So without further ado, let me switch over to that and let's start going through the process. So the what if analysis will cover the two what if analysis functions as well as the solver add-in, which is not strictly part of it, but I will address it because it covers the same kind of functionality. So the first of the functions here that we look at is the goal seek. So open that spreadsheet. You've already done that, what if analysis. The goal seek function only applies to a cell that contains a formula. So if you try and enable this function and it doesn't work, or it gives you a message that the cell doesn't contain a formula, that is why. This function is used to plan different outcomes based on a changeable variable value. So you are on sheet 1, hopefully, so make sure that you are on sheet 1, and then you click on the data tab, the data option in the menu, in the ribbon up top, and then on the right hand side, about 2/3 through, you'll see what if analysis. You click on that, and then you go to the second option, which is goal seek, and the goal seek menu will appear. Now notice on the sheet I've provided you with a goal seek example, and you will also notice that I told you that the revenue cell has a formula in, and that is why we're going to use that as a target. So in the goal seek pop-up that came up, you click on the first field, which is seek cell, and then you click on the revenue total, which is in cell B5. Then you go to the to value field, which is the second one, and you type in 100,000. Then you go to the by changing cell, which is the third on that goal seek pop-up. You click on that, and then you click on the field that you want to change so that you can achieve that goal, and that is the number of units, which is in cell B2. And then once you've got it all in, you click on OK. You'll notice it takes a while for this formula to complete, and once it has completed, you will see how the values have changed in the goal seek example file, and also you will now see in your goal seek value that the current value and the target value are both 100,000. And if you want to retain those values, happy with your calculation, you can then click OK, or you can press cancel to revert to the previous value or to allow you to add other values. And that covers the goal seek. We will now move on to the scenario manager. If you have any questions, you can at this point start putting comments for me in the field below, and we will address that before we start the next module. Okay, I'm just going to look here if I get some questions. I see somebody says there, please explain this again. We will do that again, but you must please tell me exactly what you want. Right, so we're ready for the scenario manager. You're still on the same spreadsheet, what if analysis. You will now select sheet 2 at the bottom, the second tab, sheet 1, sheet 2, second tab, you select that. Make sure that you are on the data tab. You will now see a different table in there. The example gives us the unit cost of a product A and B, and then the product A and B, we see some sales forecasts and profit and revenue forecasts. So that is the example we're using. In this spreadsheet, you will see that there are two statistical formulas in the sales, and there are formulas to calculate the revenue, the cost, and the profits, and all those numbers are summed at the bottom. Very nice example. Now we take on the data tab, you go again to the what if analysis tab. The first option is scenario manager. You click on that and your scenario manager will pop up. Now there are no scenarios defined yet, so we will proceed to add two scenarios. What you want to do is you want to click on the add button there, and then the edit scenario screen pops up and you type in a name. So now type in a name for the scenario, and that will be scenario 1. I'm going to give you enough time to do that, so type in scenario 1, and by now everybody should have scenario 1 typed in there. Now you're going to select the changing cells. So click on changing cells, that's the second field. In the first field you typed in scenario 1, which is the name of the scenario. In the second field you're going to click now, and then you're going to click and drag. So you're going to take your mouse to cell B6 and you're going to click and drag down to B7. So you're going to mark those two and then you're going to release your mouse button. It will then jump back to the edit scenario screen. Sorry, it'll jump back to the to the edit scenario screen, and this time you will see the values, the changing cells appearing in the column there. You don't need to do anything further here. You leave all the ticks as is and you press OK, and what's going to happen is it's going to ask you to enter two values, and that's for your two changing fields, the two sales fields. And you're going to leave that at 200 and 300. And you're going to press OK. If you already pressed OK now, you can just add another scenario. Otherwise, you just add because you want to add a second scenario. So the second scenario, you're going to call scenario 2, and you're going to leave the changing cells as is. And you're going to press OK, and this time you will add the values 400 and 350 into those values, and then you press OK. And now the screen will jump back to the scenario manager and it will sit on scenario 2. And at this point you'll click on show, and you will see that scenario 2 press on show and you will notice how all the values are changing. So suddenly that 200 Rand has become 400 and can't remember it. And the second one will be 350, so that's your second scenario. But we want to go back to the first scenario, so we now click on scenario 1 and we click on show, and it returns back to the original values that you can see there. And that is how the scenario manager works. Do we have any questions at this point? Right, if we're all happy, see there's no new comments, then we will carry on to the solver function. Now the solver function is slightly different because this is not a standard function, it's an add-in function. The solver function needs to be activated or you will not see it on your menu and it will not be available. So you stay now on sheet 2 on the same spreadsheet. The first step here will be to see if the solver function has been activated. So on the data tab, once again, click on data and then you go and look on the right hand side to see if you find the solver there. If you don't see it there, it means we have to add it. So now in the search box in the top, you type in add-ins. Type it in exactly as I've done it there. But you will notice as you start typing, the options will start appearing. And you will now select that option add-ins with a little gear next to it. And if you click on that, you will see the add-ins screen popping up, and the fourth option there, the last option, you will click that, solver add-ins, and you'll say OK. When you now look at your ribbon at the top, you will see on the right hand side there solver. So now click on solver. Now the solver menu is appearing and it's visible there. You can now click on the set objective and then you click on max, and then you click on by changing variable cells, and then you click and drag the price fields. So from cell B6 to B7 you click, hold and drag and release, and your changing variable cells will be in there. But now we need to add some constraints. So we'll click on add, and we're going to add 2 constraints. The 2 constraints that we want to add is we want to reduce product A sales by less than or equal to 125, and we want total revenue more than 125,000. And we'll do that as follows. The add constraint screen is coming up, so we click the cell reference, and the cell reference will be then C36, which is product A, and then we will select less than or equal, and then the constraint 125. Then we will click on add, and we'll repeat that for the second constraint. The cell reference there would of course be the revenue total, and you will make it bigger than 125,000, larger than 125,000, We'll make it larger or equal to 125,000. And then we'll put in the constraint, 125,000. And then you'll say OK. So with the two constraints now added, your screen will look like that, and you will tell it to solve. The solver will come back, and you'll see that exclamation mark, and there's a message. Solver cannot find a point for which all constraints are satisfied. So one of your constraints stops this solution from being solved. So what we need to do is we need to go back, press OK, and we go back to the solver parameters, and we go to change on the constraints, and then the second constraint will reduce that larger or bigger or equal to 125,000 to 100,000. And if we've done that, we run it again, and this time we get a solution. And what you'll see now is that our sales revenue, which was constrained to 100,000, and our sales that was constrained to no more than 440 has been satisfied, and we've maximized the profit for that calculation. And this is how we can use the solver to calculate very interesting options for us. And this concludes the tutorial. I want you to leave me notes. At this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 10 minutes to take a break for coffee. You can, among each other, discuss the tutorial that we've just completed. And if there are any questions, let me know, and we'll address it then as part of the intro to the next option. So for now, let me just jump back to the overview and let us quickly discuss where we're going after this. So after this, we will start the consolidate data tutorial, and like I said in the intro, we will discuss what our next session, what your questions were. So for now, let us take a quick break, and I'll be back in 15 minutes. See you.